Stay Kim tucked a strand of hair behind her ear as she stared at the repair bay logs for the third time that week. Something didn't add up. As third officer on Earth's Orbital Station 7, she had access to all incoming vessel data, and a pattern had caught her attention. Strange, she muttered, scrolling through the manifest again. The sleek Arcturian cruiser that had docked yesterday had bypassed 3 of its own species' repair stations to reach Earth, and it wasn't alone. Day pulled up the satisfaction surveys, a formality for most stations, but Earth's repair teams actually read them. The ratings were consistently exceptional across 17 different alien species. Tilaxians, who rarely expressed satisfaction with anything, had given Earth's technicians perfect scores. "You're still obsessing over those logs?" Senior officer. Tay appeared behind her, coffee in hand. "It's just a statistical anomaly, nothing to waste time on." Day zoomed in on a particular entry. "Sir, the Geldarian ambassador rerouted his personal yacht an extra 12 light-years to reach us instead of using their premium facilities at Proxima Station. That's not an anomaly, that's a choice." Tay shrugged. "Maybe they like our coffee. Too, look, we have 3 incoming vessels needing clearance. Focus on that instead of chasing theories." After her shift ended, Day couldn't let it go. She made her way to the observation deck overlooking Bay 4, where a massive Javarian transport ship was undergoing repairs. The vessel's exoskeleton gleamed under the work lights as human technicians climbed across its surface, some using old-fashioned wrenches alongside advanced plasma cutters. "First time seeing a Jovarian up close?" asked a friendly voice. Day turned to find an older man in engineering coveralls watching her. His name patch read Han. "I've processed their docking requests, but never really looked closely at their ships," she admitted. Han nodded toward the technicians. "Beautiful vessels. Temperamental, though. The interface systems are particularly tricky. They use an organic-synthetic hybrid that doesn't respond well to standard diagnostic programs." "Then how do you fix them?" Han smiled, tapping his temple. "We listen. Feel. These ships, they talk to you if you pay attention. The automated repair bays can't hear that conversation." Day watched as a technician pressed her palm against a panel, eyes closed as if feeling for something beyond the metal. "Is that why they come here instead of using more advanced stations?" "Probably part of it," Han said. "Most places just run ships through algorithms. Scan, diagnose, replace, repeat. We treat each vessel like it's special." Later that night, Day accessed the secure communications archives, a minor protocol violation, but her clearance level made it possible. She searched for patterns in the captain's communications and found something unexpected: coded references to Earth's repair bays in transmissions between alien vessels, like they were sharing a secret. In one decrypted message, a Tilaxian captain had written, "Avoid Sector 7. Hub. Go to the humans. They understand the sound of an ailing drive better than our mechanics understand their own technology." Day sat back, heart racing with excitement. This wasn't just a coincidence or preference. It was an underground network of alien captains deliberately seeking out human repair technicians despite having access to facilities centuries more advanced. Next morning, she requested assignment to repair bay liaison duty. Her superior raised an eyebrow but approved the transfer. If no one else was going to investigate why Earth's primitive repair facilities had become the galaxy's best-kept secret, she would find out herself. What she didn't realize was that her discovery would soon challenge everything. The galactic community thought they knew about the value of human intuition in an increasingly automated universe. First contact with Captain Kral. The maintenance bay doors slid open with a hydraulic hiss as Day Kim checked her tablet one final time. Her new assignment had come through faster than expected. Liaison officer for the Thalaxian freighter that had just docked at Earth Orbital Station 7. The vessel's name translated roughly to "profitable journey," though the Thalaxian language contained nuances that human tongues couldn't fully capture. "You must be the new human," came a gravelly voice from the shadows of the docking tube. Day looked up to see a towering figure duck through the airlock. Captain Kral stood nearly 7 feet tall, his exoskeleton a mottled blue-green that caught the light in fascinating patterns. All 6 of his limbs moved with surprising grace, despite their armored appearance. 4 of them were currently gesturing in what Day recognized as Thalaxian expressions of impatience. Third Officer Day Kim, she introduced herself with a slight bow, a gesture she knew Thalaxians respected. I'll be overseeing your repair schedule. Kral's compound eyes narrowed. The last liaison wasted 3 cycles discussing paperwork before addressing my ship's actual needs. I hope you prove more efficient. I've already processed your paperwork, Day replied, sliding her tablet forward to show the completed authorization forms. I'm more interested in understanding what brings a Thalaxian freighter captain to a human repair bay when there are 4 Thalaxian-owned stations within easier reach. This caught the captain off guard, his secondary limbs stilled, a sign of surprise in his species. Follow me, he said after a moment, turning back toward his ship. The interior of the Thalaxian vessel was warm and humid, designed for bodies that evolved on a tropical world. Kral led her through cramped corridors until they reached the engine room. Here, surrounded by humming machinery, he finally spoke again. Listen, he said, gesturing toward a pulsing drive core. What do you hear? Day closed her eyes and focused. Beyond the standard vibrations, there was an irregular pattern, a slight hesitation in the rhythm. There's a flutter in the harmonic cycle, she said. Every 7th pulse delays by about half a microsecond. Kral's upper limbs spread wide, a gesture of approval. 3 Thalaxian diagnostic stations claimed nothing was wrong. Their systems detected no anomalies because the flutter falls within acceptable parameters. But you know your ship, Day said, and you can feel it's not right. Precisely. Kral moved closer to the drive core, running a sensory appendage along its surface. My ship traveled an extra 17 light-years because human technicians listen when I say something feels wrong. Your people trust instinct alongside instruments. Over the next few days, as repairs progressed, Day spent hours with Kral learning about his ship. He explained how Thalaxian vessels incorporated living components that responded to environmental factors in ways mechanical systems couldn't measure. In turn, she described how Earth's repair philosophy emphasized the relationship between ship and crew. Your first journey to Earth for repairs, was it an emergency? She asked one evening as they shared a meal in the station's multi-species cafeteria. Kral's mandibles clicked in what she now recognized as amusement. Hardly. It was a calculated risk based on rumors. 5 cycles ago, a Centaurian trader told me humans had fixed his atmospheric regulators when 4 other stations had failed. I was skeptical but desperate. My navigation system had a fault that defied standard diagnosis. And we fixed it? Within 1 Earth day. Your technician June just sat in my control room for an hour, then pointed to a crystalline relay that wasn't even part of the navigation system. He was right. Replacing it solved everything. As the week progressed, Kral's initial dismissiveness completely vanished. He began introducing Day to other alien crew members, showing her modifications unique to his vessel, and even sharing stories of his home world. You've been coming here for years, Day realized aloud on the final day of repairs. Long before I noticed the pattern, Kral's eyes gleamed. And I'm far from the only one. There's a reason we travel so far for human repairs, Day Kim. Perhaps you're finally ready to learn why. The human approach Day arrived at Repair Bay 12 just as the morning shift was starting, armed with her official observer badge and Captain Kral's permission to study the repair process. She found a spot where she could watch without getting in the way. Chief Technician Min was already briefing his team around the exposed drive section of Kral's freighter. The harmonic flutter occurs during peak load transitions, Min explained, pointing to a holographic display of energy flow patterns. But that's just a symptom, not the cause. We need to think beyond the obvious. What happened next surprised Turkey. Instead of immediately consulting repair manuals or running standard diagnostic algorithms, Min divided his team into pairs. Each duo approached the problem differently. Some checked mechanical connections, others analyzed fuel mixture ratios, while 2 technicians simply placed their hands on different parts of the drive housing and closed their eyes. What are they doing? Day whispered to Technician Sue, who was documenting the process. Feeling for vibration patterns, Sue explained. Thalaxian ships use crystalline resonators that respond to subtle energy fields. Sometimes your hands can detect imbalances that sensors miss. Throughout the morning, Dai watched in fascination. The repair team didn't follow a single prescribed procedure. Instead, they explored multiple possibilities simultaneously, calling out observations and building on each other's insights. When one approach didn't yield results, they quickly pivoted to another without frustration. By midday, they'd narrowed the problem to an interaction between the primary coolant system and a backup power regulator, components that weren't directly connected according to the ship's schematics. These systems shouldn't affect each other, Min mused, studying the unusual energy patterns. But clearly they are. Maybe there's an electromagnetic field leakage, suggested a young technician named June. Min nodded. Good thinking. Let's check for that. Day had never seen a repair team work this way. At the alien stations she'd visited, repairs followed strict protocols. Automated systems would scan components, compare against baseline specifications, and replace anything that deviated from standard parameters. Efficient, but inflexible. During lunch break, she joined Min in the station's cafeteria. "Your approach is so different from what I've seen elsewhere," she said. "Is this how all Earth repair bays operate?" Min smiled, stirring his coffee. "Pretty much. We use technology as a tool, not a replacement for thinking. Machines are great at finding things that match known patterns, but terrible at spotting the unexpected." "But alien diagnostic systems are far more advanced," Day pointed out. "Advanced doesn't always mean better," Min replied. "Those systems can only find problems they're programmed to recognize. We had a Gelidian cruiser last month with optimal diagnostic readings, but the captain insisted something was wrong. Turned out a micrometeorite had created a hairline fracture that was redirecting energy in ways too subtle for standard tests to detect." After lunch, Day observed the team implementing their solution. They didn't just fix the immediate problem. They redesigned part of the coolant shielding to prevent future interference, added a passive monitoring system calibrated specifically for Kral's ship, and even made modifications to improve efficiency beyond factory specifications. "The standard repair would just replace the affected components," explained technician Sue as they worked, "but that wouldn't prevent the problem from happening again." By late afternoon, the repairs were complete, but instead of immediately signing off on the work, Min gathered his team around Kral. "Before we close everything up, we want you to feel the drive in operation," Min told the captain. "Tell us if anything seems off to you." Kral placed 3 of his limbs on different parts of the engine housing as it powered up. After a full minute of silence, his compound eyes dilated with satisfaction. "Perfect harmony," he announced. "Better than when it left the shipyard." Later, as Day walked Kral back to his vessel, the captain gestured to the repair bay around them. "Do you understand now why we come here? The most advanced diagnostic system in the galaxy can't match a human who truly listens to a ship." Day thought about the day's observations, the intuitive problem-solving, the willingness to explore unconventional ideas, the respect for a captain's connection to his vessel. Human repair teams didn't just fix what was broken, they made things better, often in ways no one had anticipated. "I think I'm beginning to understand," she said, "but something tells me there's still more to this story." Kral's mandibles clicked in amusement. "Much more, Day Kim, much more indeed. The underground network. Would you care to join me for a drink?" Kral asked, as the repairs on his ship neared completion. "There's something I believe you should see." Day followed the Thalaxian captain through the station's commerce ring until they reached the orbital view, a small bar popular with visiting ship crews. The establishment's wide windows showcased Earth's blue curve against the blackness of space. Inside, the clientele was surprisingly diverse. At least 7 different species clustered around tables, designed to accommodate various anatomies. Kral guided her to a private booth in the back. When the server approached, he made a gesture Day didn't recognize and said something in a language her translator didn't catch. The server nodded knowingly. "What was that about?" Day asked. "Patience," Kral replied, his compound eyes scanning. "The room. We're waiting for— here they are." 2 more aliens approached their table. One was a Meridian, her translucent skin glowing with bioluminescent patterns. The other was a bulky Draxian with metallic scales, both captains based on their insignia. "This is the human I mentioned," Kral said by way of introduction. "Third Officer Dae Kim. She's been asking the right questions." The Meridian captain extended a slender hand. "Captain Elia, my freighter is in Bay 5 for thruster alignment." "Captain Torque," rumbled the Draxian, who didn't offer any appendage to shake. "Kim has proper clearance?" "She does now," Kral said, sliding a small device across the table. "Access chip. Place it against your station badge." Dae hesitated. "What exactly am I getting access to?" "Information that isn't technically restricted," Elia said, her voice melodic. "Just selectively shared." Curiosity winning over caution. Dae pressed the chip against her badge. It beeped softly, and suddenly her personal tablet lit up with a notification. "Welcome to the network," read the message. "Connecting captains with capable hands since 2187. What followed was astonishing. Her tablet filled with data. Thousands of reports, ratings, and recommendations about human repair facilities across the solar system. There were detailed profiles of technicians, specialized repair procedures, even translation matrices designed to help aliens explain technical problems that had no direct human equivalent. "This is extensive," Dae said, scrolling through the information. "You've been documenting our repair methods for decades." Torque made a sound like grinding gears. Draxian laugh. "And rating your technicians. Min's team has 5 stars, very rare." The server returned with drinks, setting down 4 glasses of different colors and compositions. "To smooth connections," he said with a knowing smile before departing. "It started small," Kral explained, lifting his beverage with a specialized grip. A few captains sharing notes about which human stations actually fixed problems others couldn't. Then it grew. "Our ships are our lives," Elia added, her skin pulsing with blue light. "The difference between a repair that meets specifications and one that truly works can mean survival." Dae noticed something in the data. These reports, they're being shared across species that are barely on diplomatic terms. Neridians and Vazaks don't even acknowledge each other officially, but they're exchanging information here. "Ships don't care about politics," Torque said bluntly. "Good repair's universal language." Kral gestured toward a nearby table where 2 insectoid Chelians were deep in conversation with a gelatinous Floatian. In official diplomatic channels, those species have been arguing about mining rights for 30 years. But here, they're comparing notes on which human technician best understands fuel injection systems. Dae was struggling to process the implications. But why keep this network secret? If human repair methods are so effective, wouldn't it make sense to share this knowledge openly? The 3 alien captains exchanged looks. "Pride," Elia said finally. "Do you know how much the Meridian Collective invested in our automated repair systems? Trillions. Our government promotes them as the pinnacle of efficiency." "Same for Draxian Congress," Torque added. "Big embarrassment if word spreads that humans with wrenches outperform quantum diagnostic arrays." Kral's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. "Humans approach ships differently. You see them as living things with personalities and quirks. Our societies increasingly view vessels as mathematical problems to be solved by algorithms." Dae scrolled. Through more data, finding translation software developed specifically to help aliens communicate subjective experiences to human technicians. Programs with names like Feeling to Technical Converter and Intuition Translator. "We created tools to help explain what our ships feel like when they're not running properly," Elia explained. "Concepts our own repair stations don't even have words for." "And this network operates across how many systems?" Dae asked. 37 at last count, Kral said, with over 20,000 registered captains. The waiting list for Earth's repair bays is actually much longer than your station managers realize. Many of us claim emergency repairs just to move up the queue. Torque leaned forward, his scales glinting. "Human Kim, important question. Why so curious about our network?" Dae thought carefully before answering. "Because I believe understanding why you come here might be important for the future of human-alien relations. If we have something valuable to offer beyond raw materials and labor, something even your advanced civilizations need. The three captains stared at her silently for a moment. Perceptive, Kral said finally. Perhaps too perceptive. There are those who would prefer this arrangement remain informal and unacknowledged. Like who? Day asked. Their answer was interrupted by an emergency alert blaring through the station's communication system. All personnel to emergency stations. Diplomatic vessel Galactic Unity requesting immediate assistance following catastrophic systems failure. This is not a drill. The challenge. The emergency alert sent Day racing to the command center of Orbital Station 7. The sleek corridors were suddenly filled with personnel responding to their assigned emergency stations, their faces tense with the knowledge that a diplomatic vessel in distress meant potential interstellar complications. When Day arrived at her post, the main view screen displayed a magnificent but clearly damaged vessel. The Galactic Unity was the pride of the diplomatic fleet, a gleaming ship designed to accommodate ambassadors from 17 member species of the Galactic Union. Currently, its portside was dark, and occasional energy discharges flickered across its hull. "Status report," Commander Lee demanded, standing at the center of the command hub. "Galactic Unity reports catastrophic power regulation failure," Lieutenant Park replied. "Life support systems operating on emergency power. 38 diplomats and 27 crew members on board. Their chief engineer reports cascade failures in multiple systems." Commander Lee nodded grimly. "Prepare emergency docking procedures for Bay 1. Alert medical to prepare for possible casualties." The communications officer raised her hand. "Sir, incoming transmission from the Galactic Union Central Authority." The view screen split to reveal a stern-looking Arcturian official. His translucent head crest pulsed with agitation. "This is High Commissioner Vratek of the Galactic Union. We appreciate Earth's readiness to assist, but we have dispatched the advanced repair vessel Precision from Proxima Hub. The Unity will be towed there for proper repairs once stabilized." Commander Lee frowned. "High Commissioner, with respect, moving a vessel with these types of system failures could trigger a complete breakdown. Our facility is much closer." "While your concern is noted," Vratek replied coldly, "the Unity carries diplomatic representatives from across the Union. Its systems are far too advanced and delicate for Earth facilities to properly address. Precision will arrive in approximately 8 hours." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving an uncomfortable silence in the command center. 8 hours, Chief Engineer Min said from behind Day. "That ship might not have 8 hours before those cascade failures reach critical systems." Before anyone could respond, the door to the command center slid open. Captain Kral entered, followed by Captain Elia, Captain Torque, and several other alien ship commanders. Their presence in the command center during an emergency was unprecedented. A request to speak," Kral announced, addressing Commander Lee directly. "The Unity must be repaired here." Commander Lee looked startled. "Captain Kral, this isn't the appropriate time." "It is exactly the time," Elia interrupted, her bioluminescent patterns flashing urgently. "We have all reviewed the telemetry from the Unity. Its primary integration core is failing, the exact type of problem your human technicians excel at solving." Torque stepped forward. "Moving ship will cause total failure. Many important people die. Bad for everyone." Commander Lee looked from the alien captains to the damaged vessel on the screen. "Even if what you're saying is true, the High Commissioner has made his decision. Then perhaps we should reach a compromise," came a new voice. Day turned to see Captain Kral's first officer entering with a familiar face, the Arcturian ambassador to Earth. "Ambassador Zhen," Commander Lee acknowledged with surprise. "I was meeting with these captains when the alert came through," the ambassador explained, "and I believe I see a way forward that preserves both safety and diplomatic considerations." Zhen moved to the central console and activated a communication channel. "High Commissioner, this is Ambassador Zhen. I propose a modified approach to this emergency." Vratek's face reappeared on screen, his crest now pulsing slower with forced calm. "I'm listening, Ambassador. The Unity remains here at Earth Station, but we divide the repair work. Earth's team handles the primary integration core and power distribution, areas where speed is essential to stabilize the vessel. Meanwhile, we request that the Precision, upon arrival, take responsibility for the more sensitive diplomatic and communication systems." This allows both teams to demonstrate their capabilities while ensuring maximum safety for all aboard. There was a long pause before Vratek responded. This seems an unusual approach. Ambassador Zhen smiled slightly. Consider it an opportunity, Commissioner. If Earth's technicians cannot adequately repair their assigned sections, it would definitively prove the superiority of our advanced facilities for future reference. Day suddenly understood. The ambassador was framing this as a challenge, appealing to the Commissioner's certainty that alien technology would outperform human methods. After several tense moments, Vratek nodded. Very well. The Unity will dock at Earth Station 7. The Precision will arrive to complete the sensitive repairs, but I will be monitoring the human work personally. As the transmission ended, Commander Lee turned to the alien captains. Would someone like to explain why a group of ship captains is so invested in where the Unity gets repaired? Kral's compound eyes shifted toward Dai. Perhaps Third Officer Kim can provide some context. She has been researching our preference for human repair facilities. All eyes turned to Day, who suddenly found herself at the center of attention. Sir, she began carefully, I've uncovered evidence that many alien vessels specifically seek out human repair bays despite having access to more advanced facilities. Captain Kral and others have shown me documentation of an informal network of captains who share information about human repair techniques. Commander Lee looked stunned. And you believe this is relevant to the current crisis? I do, sir, Day replied with growing confidence. And I believe we're about to witness the most important repair job in Earth's history, one that will either validate or disprove everything these captains have been saying about human repair capabilities. Chief Engineer Min stepped forward. My team is ready, Commander. We won't let Earth down. Commander Lee nodded slowly. Then let's get to work. The Unity will be docking in 30 minutes. Hands versus algorithms. The massive repair bay doors parted to admit the damaged Galactic Unity. Even in its compromised state, the vessel was breathtaking, a masterpiece of interstellar engineering designed to represent the pinnacle of combined alien technologies. Emergency lights pulsed along its hull as it was carefully guided into position by tractor beams. Day stood with Chief Engineer Min and his team at the primary access point. Across the bay, the Precision had arrived ahead of schedule, a sleek specialized repair vessel bristling with advanced equipment. Its hull bore the insignia of the Galactic Union's Supreme Engineering Division. High Commissioner Vratek emerged from the Precision, flanked by a team of technicians from various species. They carried no visible tools. Instead, each wore an advanced neural interface crown that connected them to the ship's diagnostic systems. The terms of our agreement, Vratek announced as he approached. Earth technicians will address the primary integration core and power distribution systems. My team will handle the diplomatic communication arrays and life support stabilization. Both teams will work simultaneously. Commander Lee nodded. Agreed. Chief Engineer Min will lead our team. Vratek's head crest pulsed with barely concealed skepticism. Our preliminary scans indicate the integration core has suffered quantum fluctuation damage. It requires molecular recalibration beyond Earth's technological capabilities. Min stepped forward, his expression calm. We appreciate your assessment, Commissioner. We'll begin our work immediately. As both teams boarded the Unity, Day followed, close behind Min's group. She had been assigned as the official observer and documentation officer, a position that allowed her to witness the repair efforts firsthand. The Unity's integration core chamber was a marvel of engineering, a spherical room at the ship's center where all major systems connected. Currently, it was in chaos. Energy patterns flickered erratically across connection points, and the normal humming had been replaced by an uneven, worrying pulse. Min's team immediately spread out, but not in the way Dai expected. Rather than hooking up diagnostic equipment, they each took positions around the chamber and simply observed. What are they doing? Whispered a young officer beside Day. Listening to the ship, she replied, remembering what she'd learned from Kral. Across the corridor in another critical system hub, Vratek's team had deployed their equipment. Floating orbs of diagnostic technology circled the damaged components, emitting precise scanning beams. The neural interfaces on the technicians glowed as they processed the incoming data without speaking a word to each other. After 10 minutes of silent observation, Min gathered his team. "Thoughts?" "The fluctuation isn't random," said Technician Jin. "There's a pattern, but it shifts every 43 seconds. I'm getting harmonic resonance between the quantum field generators," added Engineer Hyun. "They're out of phase, but not consistently." Min nodded. "Good. What about physical signs?" "Look at the connection housing," Technician Su pointed. "It's discolored on the ventral side. Overheating, but only in that specific location." Min moved closer to examine it. "You're right, and that shouldn't be possible with the cooling systems intact." Meanwhile, Vretek's team had deployed their repair solution, a swarm of microscopic repair drones programmed to analyze and correct errors at the molecular level. The technology was decades beyond Earth's capabilities. "Diagnosis complete," announced one of Vretek's technicians. Implementing standard repair protocol J79, the nanobots swarmed toward the damaged systems, their movements precisely coordinated by artificial intelligence. Within minutes, however, they retreated, reforming into a holding pattern. "Error. Configuration not recognized," reported the technician. "Recalibrating diagnostic parameters." The nanobots swarmed forward again, only to retreat once more. This pattern repeated as the AI attempted to adjust its approach. Day watched as Min's team took a completely different approach. They had opened several access panels and were physically tracing connections. Technician Jin had crawled halfway into a maintenance duct to get a better look at a junction point. "I found something," Jin called out. "There's a hairline fracture in the coolant sheath. It's allowing energy to leak into the control conduits." Min frowned. That would explain the overheating, but not the fluctuation pattern. Unless, Engineer, Hyun's eyes widened. What if the coolant isn't just leaking? What if it's creating a resonance circuit with the backup systems? Min grabbed a simple handheld scanner, technology that seemed primitive compared to the Precision's equipment. You might be right. The backup system activates every 43 seconds when the main system hits a certain threshold. Across the corridor, Vretek's team was growing frustrated. Their nanobots remained stuck in a diagnostic loop, unable to identify the root problem because it didn't match any known configuration in their database. "Perhaps we should attempt a complete system reset," suggested one of Vretek's technicians. "Too risky," countered another. "We could lose life support entirely." Min's team had moved into action. They weren't following any standard protocol. Instead, they were improvising a solution based on their understanding of the problem. "We need to isolate the resonance circuit," Min said. "Jin, reroute the secondary power through the emergency backup. Hyun, prep the coolant bypass system. Su, get ready to seal that fracture the moment the power cycles." "But that's not in the repair manual," protested the young officer beside Day. "That configuration isn't authorized. Manuals are for ships." "That break by the rules," Min replied with a smile. "This one didn't read the manual on how it was supposed to fail." As Min's team implemented their unorthodox solution, Day noticed High Commissioner Vretek watching from the doorway, his expression unreadable. "Bypass ready," called Hyun. "Secondary power rerouted," confirmed Jin. "On my mark," Min said. 3, 2, 1, now! The lights flickered momentarily as they executed their plan. For a terrifying second, everything went dark. Then, gradually, the normal hum of the integration core returned. The erratic energy pattern stabilized, and the core's central display showed green status indicators across all connected systems. "Integration core stabilized," Min reported. "Power distribution normalized." Vretek stared at the functioning systems, then at his own team's advanced equipment, still cycling through diagnostic routines and finding no solution. "Impossible," he whispered, but Day could hear in his voice that he knew otherwise. The human team had just accomplished in 30 minutes what the galaxy's most advanced repair systems couldn't, not with algorithms and nanobots, but with observation, intuition, and hands-on problem-solving. Min wiped sweat from his brow and grinned at his team. "Nice work, everyone. Now let's help them get those life support systems back online before the diplomats run out of air." The human element A's repairs on the Galactic Unity continued into their second day. Day found herself spending more time observing the interactions between the repair teams and the ship's crew rather than the technical aspects of the repairs themselves. Something fascinating was happening that went beyond the mechanical challenges. The Unity's captain, a distinguished Tellurian named Voss, had initially been formal and distant with both repair teams. He had served in the diplomatic fleet for over 40 years and was known for his strict adherence to protocol. Yet by the afternoon of the second day, Day noticed he was spending significantly more time with Min's human technicians than with the Precision's advanced team. "How, you've noticed it too," said a voice behind her. Day turned to find Captain Kral standing in the corridor, his compound eyes fixed on Captain Voss, who was deep in conversation with Technician Jin about the ship's navigation systems, a section that wasn't even part of the repairs. "He seems more comfortable with our team," Day acknowledged. "But why? The Precision's technicians are more technically advanced, and several are from his own species." Kral's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. "Walk with me." They moved through the Unity's elegant corridors toward a section where Min's team was working, on power coupling repairs. As they approached, they overheard a conversation between Engineer Hyan and a Meridian diplomat. "We understand this chamber holds particular significance for your meditation rituals," Hyan was saying. "We'll ensure the power fluctuations are completely eliminated, not just reduced to acceptable levels. Even minor disruptions could affect your connection experiences." The diplomat's skin glowed with appreciative patterns. "The Union's standard repair protocols don't even acknowledge these concerns. They consider anything within technical specifications to be fixed, regardless of experiential impact." Kral guided Dai onward to another section, where Technician Su was showing an elderly Draxian ambassador how to manually override the environmental controls in his quarters. "Your species prefers higher humidity than the ship's standard settings," Su explained. "I've added a dedicated control panel here that won't be affected if the main systems need to be reset. It's not in the original design, but it should make your journey more comfortable." The ambassador's metallic scales rippled with pleasure. "Most considerate. Previous technicians simply told me to adapt." As they continued their tour, Day began to see a pattern. At every stop, the human technicians were doing more than just fixing mechanical problems. They were addressing the personal connections between the ship and those who lived and worked aboard her. "Your people don't just repair vessels," Kral said as they paused at an observation window. "You improve them based on the needs of those who rely on them. The Precision's team fixes things to meet specifications. Your team fixes things to meet needs, often needs that aren't written in any manual." They arrived at the ship's bridge where Captain Voss was running system checks with both repair teams present. The Precision's lead technician was explaining the optimizations they had made to the communication array. "All systems are operating at 99.87% efficiency, which exceeds Union standards by 0.12%, the technician reported. "We've restored all functionality according to original specifications." Captain Voss nodded acknowledgement, then turned to Min. "And your team's sections?" Min stepped forward. "Power distribution is fully stabilized. We've also made some adjustments based on your crew's feedback. The response lag in emergency situations has been reduced by 1.2 seconds, and we've added intuitive manual overrides at key stations so your officers can make immediate adjustments without going through the central computer." "You modified the original design?" High Commissioner Vratek asked sharply. "Without authorization." "With the captain's approval," Min clarified. "We discussed each change before implementing it." Captain Voss moved to the helm, running his six-fingered hand over the controls. "These sections of the ship, they feel different now, more responsive." "Feel different?" Vratek echoed incredulously. "Captain, technical performance is measured in data, not feelings." Voss straightened, his normally formal demeanor softening slightly. "Commissioner, I have commanded vessels for 4 decades. There is data, yes, but there is also the relationship between ship and captain." He turned to Min. "Your repairs have improved both." Day watched as Voss guided them through a series of tests. The sections repaired by the Precision's team performed flawlessly, according to every technical measure. Yet the sections repaired by the human team seemed to elicit something more from the crew, a subtle confidence, a comfort that wasn't reflected in any reading. Later, as they prepared to leave the bridge, Day overheard Captain Voss speaking quietly to Min. "Your technicians asked about the meaning of the ceremonial markings in the diplomatic quarters," Voss said. "No repair team has ever inquired about them before." Min nodded. "They represent the journeys of your ancestors, if I understand correctly. We were careful not to disturb them during the repairs." "More than that," Voss replied. "They represent the belief that vessels are extensions of those who travel within them, not merely containers. Your team seems to understand this intuitively." Walking back toward the station with Kral, Day finally grasped what the alien captains had been trying to tell her all along. "It's not just about fixing things," she said slowly. "It's about understanding that ships aren't just collections of parts and systems. They're homes, livelihoods, sometimes even sacred spaces." Kral's compound eyes seemed to smile. "Precisely. The most advanced diagnostic system can tell you if a ship is functioning according to specifications, but only someone who truly cares can tell you if it feels right. And that's why you all come to human repair bays," Day realized. "Not because we have better technology, but because you have something technology alone cannot provide," Kral finished. "You treat our ships as unique entities with histories and purposes, not just as engineering problems to be solved." As they reached the airlock, the station's emergency klaxon suddenly blared to life. Red warning lights flashed throughout the corridor. "Alert! Cascade failure detected in Galactic Unity. All repair personnel return immediately. This is not a drill." Crisis and Resolution Day and Kral raced back to the Galactic Unity, pushing through crowds of station personnel responding to the emergency. The previously calm docking bay had transformed into a scene of controlled chaos. Emergency teams mobilizing, warning lights flashing, and the ship itself emitting an ominous low-frequency hum that Day could feel in her chest. "What happened?" she gasped as they reached Commander Lee, who stood at the ship's main entrance coordinating the response. "System integration failure," he replied grimly. The repairs were nearly complete when something triggered a cascade reaction between the newly repaired systems and the original ones. Both repair teams are trapped inside. On the main view screen, internal cameras showed the critical situation. The Precisions team had deployed their emergency containment protocols, a shimmering energy barrier surrounding the affected systems while their AI attempted to isolate and neutralize the problem. High Commissioner Vratek stood behind his technicians, his head crest pulsing with alarm as the situation deteriorated despite their best efforts. "The containment field is failing," reported a monitoring officer. "Their diagnostic systems can't identify the source of the cascade fast enough to contain it." In another section of the ship, Min's team was taking a completely different approach to the same problem. Instead of establishing a single containment field, they had split up, each technician racing to a different junction point, manually disconnecting systems and rerouting critical functions. "Chief Min is implementing a distributed shutdown," Commander Lee explained. "They're trying to break the feedback loop by isolating each segment." Kral's compound eyes fixed on the screen. A logical approach when facing an unknown pattern. Break it into pieces small enough to manage. The cameras showed Engineer Hyun sliding through a maintenance shaft, reaching a control panel that was already beginning to spark with overloaded energy. Without hesitation, she pulled a manual override, cutting power to that entire section. Meanwhile, Technician Jin had climbed into the ceiling conduits, using a simple mechanical tool to physically separate connection points that the ship's automated systems couldn't disengage. "They're taking enormous personal risks," Day observed, watching as Technician Sue narrowly avoided an energy discharge while reaching for an emergency cutoff valve. "They understand something the Precisions team doesn't," Kral replied. "Sometimes you must accept small controlled failures to prevent catastrophic ones." On screen, the Precisions containment field suddenly collapsed entirely. Alarms blared as the cascade failure accelerated, threatening to spread throughout the ship's critical systems. The advanced repair team stood helplessly as their equipment, designed to handle known problems with predetermined solutions, failed to adapt to This unprecedented situation. Coolant pressure reaching critical levels in the diplomatic section, reported the monitoring officer. Precision team unable to contain the surge. Captain Voss appeared on screen, his normally composed demeanor showing signs of strain. The cascade is approaching our life support hub. If it reaches the atmospheric regulators, we'll lose breathable air throughout the ship. Commander Lee turned to his communications officer. Order immediate evacuation of all diplomatic personnel. Before the order could be relayed, Min's voice came through the emergency channel. Station command, hold evacuation. We're implementing plan firebreak now. Firebreak? Commander Lee echoed. That protocol isn't approved for diplomatic vessels. Daiki suddenly remembered something Min had told her days earlier when explaining human repair philosophy. Sometimes you have to let part of the forest burn to save the rest. On screen, Min's team had regrouped at a central junction point. They were rapidly assembling what looked like a makeshift device from parts taken from their own equipment. What are they doing? Commander Lee demanded. To everyone's surprise, it was High Commissioner Vratek who answered, having joined the emergency channel. They're creating a power surge attractor. It's unorthodox, but theoretically sound. The cameras showed Min's team working with remarkable coordination. Hyun was reconfiguring power relays, while Jin installed the device at what appeared to be a randomly chosen intersection point. Su was programming a simple timer using an outdated handheld unit. We're going to draw the cascade failure into this isolated section, Min explained over the channel. When it hits, we'll trigger a controlled overload that should break the feedback pattern. That's not in any repair protocol I've ever seen, Vratek protested, though his tone lacked its usual dismissiveness. That's because we just invented it, Min replied. Evacuation crews stand by. If this doesn't work, you'll have about 2 minutes to get everyone off this ship. Day held her breath as she watched the team complete their preparations. The makeshift device began to pulse with energy, deliberately attracting the cascade failure toward it like a lightning rod. As the chaotic energy patterns converged on their position, the team retreated, all except Min, who remained to manually trigger the controlled overload at precisely the right moment. Min, get out of there, Commander, Lee ordered. Not yet, Min replied calmly. Timing has to be exact. Energy discharges were now visibly arcing around him as he kept his hands steady on the controls. The monitoring screens showed the cascade failure changing direction, flowing toward the attractor like water down a drain. When almost all the energy had been pulled into their isolated section, Min pressed a final sequence and dived through a hatchway just as a brilliant flash of energy erupted behind him. For several seconds, every screen went dark. The entire bay fell silent. Then, one by one, systems began to come back online. Green status indicators replaced red warning symbols across the monitoring stations. Cascade failure contained, reported the monitoring officer, disbelief evident in her voice. Power systems stabilizing, life support and functional throughout the vessel. On screen, Min was already back on his feet, directing his team to check each section. To Day's surprise, they weren't just verifying their own repair areas, they were heading toward the sections the precision team had worked on. The integration points between our repairs and yours are most vulnerable, Min explained to Vratek over the comm. We need to make sure they're properly aligned after that surge. Instead of objecting, Vratek simply nodded. My team will assist in whatever way you require. Over the next hour, Day watched as the human and alien technicians worked side by side, no longer as separate teams, but as a unified group with a common purpose. The human technicians taught their alien counterparts the improvised methods they had used, while the alien technicians offered insights from their advanced theoretical knowledge. When Captain Voss finally emerged from his ship, he approached Commander Lee with formal dignity. Commander, I wish to file an official report to the Galactic Union regarding the events of today, he announced. Lee straightened, preparing for diplomatic fallout. Of course, Captain, we understand the seriousness of what occurred. Voss's expression softened into something resembling a smile. My report will state that the cooperation between human and Union repair methodologies not only saved this vessel, but demonstrated a new approach that surpasses our previous standards. I believe there is much our civilizations can learn from each other. Behind him, Min and his team emerged from the ship, tired but triumphant. They were talking animatedly with the Precision's technicians, already exchanging ideas for improvements to both their systems. Kral leaned closer to Day. "And so it begins," he said quietly. "Perhaps the future of repair throughout the galaxy will be neither fully automated nor purely manual, but something new altogether." Day watched as High Commissioner Vratek approached Min and formally extended his hand in the human gesture of respect. "Indeed," she replied to Kral. "It seems the human element might be the missing piece everyone has been looking for." A new understanding. 3 months after the dramatic repair of the Galactic Unity, Orbital Station 7 hummed with unprecedented activity. The repair bays that had once struggled to maintain a steady flow of traffic now operated at maximum capacity, with vessels from across the galaxy forming waiting lists that stretched weeks ahead. But the nature of the repairs had fundamentally changed. Day stood at the observation window overlooking Bay 4, where a team of human and Meridian technicians worked together on a Draxian transport vessel. The Meridians contributed their advanced diagnostic tools and quantum analysis capabilities, while the humans applied their holistic problem-solving approach and intuitive understanding of ships as living systems. "Quite different from when you first started asking questions, isn't it?" said a familiar voice. Day turned to find Captain Kral beside her. The Thalaxian looked different now. His exoskeleton bore the newly created insignia of the Galactic Union's Joint Repair Innovation Task Force. "Sometimes I can hardly believe how much has changed," Day admitted. "The secret network of captains seeking human repairs has become official Union policy." Kral's compound eyes reflected the lights of the repair bay. "Not merely policy, but a revolution in how we approach technology throughout the galaxy. The underground has become the mainstream." Below them, Chief Engineer Min was demonstrating to a group of alien technicians how to feel for vibration patterns in a ship's drive housing, teaching them to use their own sensory appendages in ways their training had never considered. Meanwhile, several human engineers were learning to operate advanced alien diagnostic tools, combining their intuition with precision technology. "Have you seen the latest satisfaction ratings?" Kral asked, showing Dai his datapad. "The hybrid repair teams are achieving success rates 15% higher than either methodology achieved separately. The Union's Engineering Council is still trying to explain how the combined approach outperforms their theoretical models." Day smiled. "Some things can't be captured in models." Their conversation was interrupted by a chime from Day's communication badge, a summons to the station's main conference room. Together, they made their way through corridors that now featured multilingual signage and environmental adjustments to accommodate various species. The conference room had been modified since the Galactic Unity incident. Now it featured specialized seating for 17 different body types and a sophisticated translation system that captured not just words, but emotional nuances across species. Around the table sat representatives from the major spacefaring civilizations, along with Commander Lee and several key members of Earth's repair teams. High Commissioner Vratek stood at the head of the table, his appearance markedly different. From their first encounter, his formal diplomatic attire had been replaced by a more practical uniform, and his once rigid posture had softened. "Thank you all for coming," Vratek began as Dai and Kral took their seats. "I've received final approval from the Galactic Union Council for the next phase of the Integrated Repair Initiative." He activated the room's holographic display, showing plans for a new type of facility, one that combined the best elements of alien technology with human-centered design principles. "These hybrid repair centers will be established at key points throughout Union space," Vratek explained. "Each will feature both advanced automated systems and hands-on repair bays, with crews specifically trained in the combined methodology that proved so successful during the Unity crisis." The plans rotated slowly above the table, revealing details that made Day smile. Meditation spaces for technicians, communal areas where crews could share meals and stories, and design elements that emphasized the connection between ships and those who sailed in them. Additionally, Vratek continued, The Union Council has approved the establishment of the Human Factor Research Division, dedicated to studying the unique approach humans bring to technology and finding applications beyond repair work. Commander Lee cleared his throat. And who will head this new division? Fritek's head crest pulsed with what Day now recognized as amusement. The Council has requested that Third Officer Day Kim be appointed as the liaison and co-director, partnered with a Union representative. All eyes turned to Day, who sat frozen in surprise. Your investigation into why alien captains preferred human repair facilities started all of this, Fritek explained. The Council believes your curiosity and openness to different perspectives make you ideally suited to guide this new initiative. Later, as the meeting concluded and the various representatives dispersed to implement their assigned aspects of the initiative, Day found herself alone with Captain Crowell on the station's observation deck. Earth hung below them, a blue jewel against the darkness of space. "Did you ever imagine your simple question about repair logs would lead to this?" Crowell asked. Day shook her head. "Never. I just wanted to understand a pattern no one else seemed to notice. That is precisely why you were the right person to discover it," Crowell replied. "The greatest advances often come not from those who build the most advanced technology, but from those who ask why existing systems work the way they do, or don't work as expected." They watched as a newly repaired Gelidian cruiser departed the station, its systems functioning more efficiently than when it was first built, thanks to the combined expertise of its repair team. "The irony," Day said quietly, "is that for decades, humans have been striving to become more like the advanced civilizations, developing better AI, more automation, less reliance on human judgment. We thought progress meant removing the human element, while we," Crowell added, "had developed such advanced technology that we had begun to lose something essential, the connection between creator and creation, the understanding that ships are more than the sum of their specifications." As they spoke, the observation deck's display showed repair facilities across the solar system, each now featuring the new Integrated Repair Initiative emblem alongside their original insignia. Beyond them, construction had already begun on similar facilities throughout Union space. "The universe is full of remarkable technologies," Day said, watching a team of human and alien technicians welcome a newly arrived vessel. "But today proves what I think we've always known deep down. Even in an age of incredible advancement, there are some things that require not just precision and efficiency, but understanding, intuition, and care." Crowell's mandibles clicked in gentle agreement. "That is why alien captains have always preferred human repair bays, not despite your technological limitations, but because your limitations led you to develop something far more valuable." "And now," Day concluded, watching the activity in the repair bays below, "the best of both approaches comes together. Advanced technology guided by the human touch." As if to emphasize her point, the station's communication system chimed with an incoming message, another vessel requesting the unique combination of technological precision and human understanding that only the new hybrid repair facilities could provide. The message contained a note that made Day smile. "Please inform your technicians," the alien captain had written, "that we don't just need our ship fixed, we need it to feel right again."